G'day, Michaelkeil here. Today I'm with in-house economist Ryan Bridie and we're going to look at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry for WA's Outlook. Ryan, can you walk us through this?
Thanks, Mike. Okay, overall the outlook is very positive. We're going to look at two major indicators. We're going to look at gross state product and we're going to look at state final demand. Gross state product is our state-based equivalent of our national GDP, except we only get the data yearly, not quarterly. State final demand doesn't include exports and imports. We get the data quarterly and it basically becomes a measure of consumption and investment within the economy. You can look at government investment, government consumption or public consumption, private consumption, business investment, and that's what it measures. If we go and we look at the 3-year forecast, we can see that we're getting pretty consistent positive growth forward, except for one outlier, and that's the current financial year forecast for state final demand, where we're forecast with a 1% decrease. Okay, so why do we have state final demand decreasing when our GSP or our gross state product is increasing? And the reason is we've got a decline in business investment. The decline in business investment is a result of large LNG projects shifting from construction into production. If we look at a breakdown of our state final demand, we can see a number of factors which all contribute towards the state final demand.
Yeah, Ryan, just looking at those factors, housing consumption, that looks like it's nice and steady, which is great news for the WA economy. And dwelling investments, that looks like it's forecast to improve from 2.8% being negative into positive. So that's got to be great for housing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The household consumption for retailers to see that it's not declining is got to be good news. And as you say, the housing industry is certainly going to be very happy to see us forecast to back into positive territory. The area I want to focus on though is business investment and the impact it has on state final demand. And you can see here we had very little business investment. We had positive state final demand, although it wasn't high. As soon as we go into negative business investment as a result of these LNG projects, we can see our state final demand goes into negative. However, we're forecast to go back into positive territory. And the reason for those forecasts is we've got $75 billion worth of infrastructure planned over the coming financial years. So this is a really good sign for the WA economy. If we look at our WA business investment graph, the dark blue line is WA and the light blue line is Australia.
Yeah, interesting. With the dark blue line there, Ryan, you can see that WA is a driver of business investment in Australia.
Absolutely. What I'd like everyone to really note is the shape of this graph. And if we go forward and we look at our net interstate migration, the shape of the graph is very similar. There is a really strong correlation between business investment leading to employment, which leads to net interstate migration. The other thing I'd really like to note is as we move through 2014 and come into this negative territory, we're improving here, but as we move, we're still in negative territory. We can see that our medium house price over that same period has declined. So negative interstate migration again has a correlation with our reduced medium house price values. When we looked at the CCI forecast for housing, they were very conservative, and the reason for that conservative is they believe that unemployment is going to remain very stable, and we also have this low population growth that's associated with this reduced investment. If we talk a bit more about population and we go to the ComSec State of the States analysis, we can see that they're saying WA population growth is 0.84%. Now, this is about half our long-term average. However, it is the fastest rate of growth we've had in 3 years. So that is again another indicator. What we want to watch and see is a change in business investment going to affect our population growth, which is going to affect our house pricing? And that's what we're going to monitor over the next year and see how accurate these forecasts are. Okay, moving on to gross state product, we can see that it's great to be in positive territory and with good forecasts to come. Especially after we had a negative 2016-17, which was the first time we had that negative period in 30 years. The growth is basically based upon strong exports of 5% forecast of export growth, and we had 4.7% measured export growth in 2017-18. It's really interesting to note that 53% of our gross state product is made up of exports. So over half our economy is driven by exports. The other thing that's worth noting is over 50% of our exports go to China. So what you can draw from that is 25% of our economy is based on exports to China, and that's a really significant. If we look at the Cciwa Outlook for forecast, we can see that we already looked at this top part of the chart, but what we want to look at is this second part. And what we're saying is, even though state final demand and our business investment may be reduced, the growth in exports far outweighs it and leads to growth in gross state product. So what we're saying is, even if business investment does decline, as long as our exports are growing, our state economy grows.
Beautiful.
When we look at our gross state product graph, we can see down here in 2017, going back to 1991, it was the first time we've been in negative territory. So now we're nearly at 2%. We're forecast to go to 2.2%, then 3%. So we're starting to really get close back towards that longer term 4.5% type average. And so again, this is great news for the WA economy.
Now, Ryan, with this as well, when we hit negative territory, was that when we were technically in a recession?
Absolutely. The technical definition of a recession is 2 negative quarters of GDP growth. However, as we explained before, gross state product only comes out yearly. So it's a little bit hard to draw the exact parallel for the definition. Yeah. But every piece of data we have says that between September 2016 and February 2017, that was the low point of our economy, and we've been picking up since then.
Yeah, great. And in conclusion, what can we summarise from this outlook?
Okay. As business investment increases with the projects that come on board, we should see our interstate migration continue to increase, and as a result, medium house prices should start to rise.
No, fantastic. Well, once again, that's an excellent summary from Ryan, our in-house economist. If you'd like to get our weekly e-newsletter, then send me an email to Michaelkeil.com and we'll keep you posted with our articles. I hope you've enjoyed this update, and bye for now.